Welcome back to Geekshow Arcade. Yeah.
Hey, yo.
Yeah.
Hey there.
Yeah.
It has been a fantastic month of games.
Oh, that was the wrong button.
Tony, you should label the buttons, dude.
It has been a fantastic month of games. Yeah, whatever. I'm done with this show. I'm leaving.
Okay, Lando. All right, this is Geek Show Arcade, where we talk about video games and video game related things because you know what? Video games are freaking cool. Let's introduce our panelists. He's getting ready to leave because I won't let him say what he wants to say. He's Jaren.
Hey, this is Jaren. You can find me on Twitter at Jaren. Blue Sky, Jeronius. Mastodon, I don't even remember anymore.
It doesn't matter.
Threads at... Yeah, I don't.
All right, I will be silent during his intro. It's Owen.
Hey there. I'm on Blue Sky at Technoan. I got the same one as Twitter at Technoan.
Nice.
Well, I don't think they do at on Blue Sky, just whatever. So
No, they do.
Yeah,
Technoan.
it's an at.
Oh,
It's the
there you
at
go.
protocol.
Yeah.
Oh.
And look who's joining the Blue Sky group.
Yeah,
Finally,
the past 2 days, Tony finally gave me a Blue Sky invite, and it's the best.
Lando.
I've used it so much, and I love it so much. However, I refuse to follow Jaren, because that guy's a jerk. And Tony, that guy too. Hate him.
I do.
Wait, Owen was totally in on the joke.
Yeah, but I like
Yeah.
Owen. He's a good dude.
Owen got his before I got mine.
It's true. Owen got his first.
The part that made me the most mad about the episode we recorded 2 days ago is the fact that Jaren got one from Tony first. That's what
I
makes me mad,
told
because
you.
Tony specifically
Hey.
promised me I would get one before Jaren.
People that showed up to record got codes that day. That's just how it worked.
he was just handing them out. Here, you got
That's
a
like
code.
a-
You-
like
Anyway,
a-
it's like
I'm
a
Lando.
episode of
I'm,
Oprah.
I'm on Blue Sky at Landon Conover, so follow me there.
There you go.
Don't know what it's going to be like there yet.
Probably empty.
It-
And we have a host. His name is Tony.
Oh, I
Thank
forgot to do
you.
the thing because I'm thinking about Blue Sky.
Thank you. Check me out on Twitter at
Thanks,
QuadT Tony or on Blue Sky at QuadT. Jaren's right though. Blue Sky does feel a little bit empty. You really have to search for the stuff you like at this point because it's still in beta. But overall, I think it's got some possibilities. I think it's got some legs. So that is that. Let's see. Do we have any emails this week?
Yeah, we got an email from Argos Spurton.
Hey.
He says, "Hey guys, Argos Spurton here again, and wanted to ask if you have any mobile game recommendations. Have played a lot of CCGs in the past. Is that card games?
I think that's a card game.
Yeah. Marvel Snap.
But
Yeah.
Marvel Snap isn't doing
Oh,
it for me anymore.
That's the only recommendation I have is Marvel Snap, and I ain't
Open
haven't
to
played it
try
in months.
anything, and thanks again, Argos Spurton."
Magic's a great game. Magic the Gathering Arena is now on the phone. It's a great game.
You got your Hearthstone that's been there for ages.
What's
For the
the
old Clash Royale.
the Clash Royale is very good too.
That's fun.
What about Gwent? Is that on the phone?
I think it is, but I don't think it. I don't even know when the last time is they've updated that game. It's been. I'm gonna look.
That game was fun.
I
It's
am-
got
Has-
good
yeah.
game mechanics.
Yeah.
I'm
it just
not
never.
a mobile phone game guy.
That's my problem too. I just don't really.
Owen, this
do
is you,
mobile
man.
games.
I
And
only
me.
play
And
I
me
only
for
play
games.
I'm the same as you guys. I play the mobile phone games when
I've been playing
poop.
Minecraft on my phone a bunch.
So those are poop games, right? Like bathroom games. And I play them there just like you guys. I just don't have time to play them regular games. So.
You know what? This is what I get for not paying attention. Last updated yesterday for Gwent, the Witcher card game. It's got a 4.8 out of 5 right now, and it is 17 plus years old.
Wow.
That game is 17. Oh, not the digital version, of course. That was a card game before it was.
Oh, no. That's the age recommendation for it,
Oh, okay.
17 plus. Yeah, because I
like-
listened to that too. I was like, Witcher 3
hold
hasn't been
on.
out for 17 years.
I mean,
I'm not that
but-
old.
Yeah.
So there you go. Yeah, Gwent is still updated and they're still taking care of it. So if you like card games, give that one a shot if you
It's
haven't
got
yet.
great. It's got great mechanics.
Yeah, it's pretty fun. All right, thanks for writing in, Argo Sportin'. That's what we got for you. All right, let's talk about games, and most importantly, we got some game tech we get to talk about this week.
Ooh, this is exciting stuff.
It is
Look
some.
at Landon's eyes, just literally.
There's some
closed.
Now,
GPU
this is
stuff. Some GPU
Awesome.
stuff to talk about. Oh,
It even
yeah.
applies to consoles, which is awesome.
I'm so excited. Let's do this. GPUs are the coolest ever.
You know it. They sure are. We got a couple of review and progresses we're going to do as well. So this is great. We'll start off slow. We'll start off easy. And apparently AMD says they aren't blocking DLSS on Starfield. They claim there's no rules in place, no recommendation or whatever to not support DLSS in their exclusive games, or at least specifically in Starfield anyway. And they are not preventing that from happening. So if Bethesda wants to put DLSS in that AMD sponsored game, Starfield, you know, that big Starfield game coming out really soon.
Dude, people are frothing for this game.
And it looks pretty awesome.
It looks really good.
Comes out this week.
Yeah, I actually I climbed aboard the hype train about 3 days ago on it, and it looks really cool. But it still, still has the AMD tech, the FSR2 stuff, and apparently
FSR2 is crap.
it's
honestly.
not too bad.
It's crap compared to XESS from Intel, which is
You guys
for
are
every
saying
graphics card out there.
A lot of letters. What are we, like,
Or
in the alphabet soup
DLSS.
right now?
It's just not nearly as good.
It's not as good as those
Owen,
two.
do you know what they're talking about right
But
Yeah, DLs and
now? XLXSs
SSs like the car.
Upscaling
Like,
tech,
SSS
Lando.
and
Upscaling
digital
tech. You
lens,
take a
SS,
lower
ESS.
resolution, you upscale it to a higher
gosh.
resolution with
What
no
I asked.
fidelity loss. Okay,
or very
Totally.
little.
DLSS, let's go.
Stands for a
dude,
digital.
you complained about not knowing what it was, and I just explained it. And then you complained again. What am I supposed to do here?
Wait a minute. What does
It's a non-win scenario for you.
what does DLS stand for? I know it's super
Deep
sampling.
learning super sampling.
That's what it was. Deep learning super sampling.
You should just say it. It sounds cooler that way. Deep learning super sampling than
Yeah.
DLSS.
And so
does,
there you
I'm
go. Are they actually going to implement it on Starfield? Maybe. Who knows? You can never tell. The reason I've finally discovered by reading a bunch of articles that they're going hard with FSR2 on this, if AMD's being honest in that they never pushed them to not put DLSS in there, is because FSR2 works on the consoles. So FSR2, the better they can do with FSR2 means the better it will look on Xbox Series X and Series S.
I just hope it means it's a good FSR2 implementation and not a crappy one. We'll see.
Me too. So
The game's fun. I'm all for it. Let's go.
I want that to happen as well. And it does look really fun, all the stuff I've seen about it recently.
I have managed to see nothing about it.
Let's talk about another FSR, FSR3.
Now this I'm excited about. FSR2's
Yes.
poop. FSR3. This has the potential to be awesome.
Not
FSR2 is not as poopy as you are making it sound, Jaron. There are good implementations of FSR2.
I have yet to see one.
Oh, okay. Anyway, FSR3 looks really cool. AMD showed it off at Gamescom. Is that what it is?
Yep.
Yeah, the one in Germany this last week. And it actually looks like it's going to deliver on what they were saying last year when they hinted at it. It's a frame gen solution, just like DLSS 3, and it will work across any GPU, which is also really cool. So basically what this does is it uses something called fluid motion frames, is what they're calling it. And it just interpolates these generated frames into the traditionally rendered frames, just like DLSS does. Now, it doesn't look quite as good as DLSS 3 from what they are saying on the previews, but it looks surprisingly good. So on things like a console or a small screen where you're either sitting far away or the screen is small, it's probably going to look perfectly good, perfectly fine. And, I would say maybe even indistinguishable from traditionally rendered frames, which is excellent to hear.
One caveat though, they say 60 FPS is the minimum for your frame rate prior to enabling it. DLSS 3 is a bit lower than that, but so this can't turn a 30 FPS game into a 60 FPS game on consoles. It would turn a 60 FPS game to a 120 FPS game, which is still pretty dang cool. game changer for small handhelds like the ROG Ally or the Steam Deck. Well, not Steam Deck because it doesn't have a high refresh rate screen, but game changer for ROG Ally. And for people with older GPUs on PC, it'll be awesome.
Yeah. Very, very interesting stuff here. Uses VSync at this point, but that was the same thing. DLSS 3 was only playable with FreeSync at first as well, so you had more even frame pacing. But I would bet that an iterative version of FSR 3 will probably enable variable refresh rate. But they said that this should be hitting games starting in September. And
not Starfield, though.
Not Starfield. Yeah, Starfield won't have it for some reason, which is crazy because that would be the game you want to show off this really cool tech on. But I bet it gets it later. And FSR 3 is like DLSS 3 in that it needs to be implemented on a game-by-game basis. It's not a driver-level solution. However, AMD did decide to show off a driver-level solution, which is really, really interesting.
And what that means is you can enable it on any game if it's at the driver rather than games that have it built in.
Yeah, thank you for explaining that.
Thank you. I appreciated that, Jaron.
So any game
that ask.
Any game that supports DirectX 11 and DirectX 12 will be able to turn on this driver level solution, and they're calling it
fluid motion frames.
Fluid. Wait, isn't that what they called it up top too?
Yeah, it's kind of weird. But this isn't FSR 3 though. It's different than that. It's AFMF, AMD fluid motion frames.
Okay, so, but it ends up doing basically the same thing with the same caveats. You need to be running at a higher refresh rate.
So they're asking for 70 FPS instead of 60 for this, because with normal FSR 3 or DLSS 3, you have they have two methods to interpolate the frames. You have the what do they call it? I'll get back to that one. But they have motion vectors for the one, which they use in DLSS 3 and FSR 3. Then they have the other method, which I can't remember the name. This AFMF does not use the motion vectors. And so it only uses half of the data to interpolate the frame. So it's not as good as a solution as FSR 3 or DLSS 3. But I imagine for smaller screens like the ROG Ally, you probably wouldn't be able to notice very much.
Now, that doesn't mean a whole lot right now because most games that are DirectX 11 and 12 on ROG Ally don't run higher than 60 frames per second unless you turn the settings way, way down.
Yeah.
But
optical flow, that's what it's called.
Optical flow, you're right. That's
optical
the one
flow.
it is. But in future handhelds and future consoles with more power on tap, this would be something that would be really cool to put into effect and get an 80% boost in frame rates automatically. Now, the one thing they didn't really talk about much was how this integrates with their anti-lag technology. They did say it will be an integral piece of it, but they didn't go into much detail about it. And it's called Anti-Lag Plus, and that is supposed to it does the same thing as NVIDIA Reflex. So since you're adding, generated frames that aren't rendered in a traditional way, it does introduce some latency into the pipeline. And so the Anti-Lag Plus is supposed to combat that latency and get it back to what it felt like before, just like NVIDIA Reflex does. So
what would be cool is, how Microsoft on the Xbox 360 games, how they would double the frame rate on certain games? Mm-hmm. If they added this AFMF to double the frame rate of 60 FPS games as a toggle if you wanted it. Because they could totally do that.
Yeah, that's what it absolutely should be. This should be an added value thing on AMD drivers. This DirectX 11 and 12 stuff. Just put it there, and people can use it if they want to, or just leave it alone if they don't. Sony did the same thing with the PlayStation 4 when they put on, or was it PlayStation 3? I can't remember. Anyway, there was a setting in one of those where you could go check a box, and it would fix things at a system level, like increase the texture filtering and stuff like that, where sometimes it wouldn't work that good and you wanted to turn it off, but a lot of the time it did what it said it would and helped the picture quite a bit. But you could just turn it on and off at will. So anyway, there you go. Exciting stuff for us graphic hooers out here. Seeing AMD step up to the plate and actually answer back with some compelling technology at a software level is really, really cool to see.
I hope NVIDIA does this on the driver level as well.
Oh, yeah.
It'd be super cool. Now that they finally have competition in the area.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see if they have anything like that in the pipe. They
Lando
showed
and
off.
Owen, you guys are jerks, and you haven't participated in this conversation.
I don't want to talk
I,
about
it was too
graphics.
deep. It was too deep for me. I can normally hang. That was beyond me. Sorry.
All right, well, let's talk about some old games then, like Turok 3 and Dark Forces. How about that?
Yes, I am in.
One of my
I'm
favorite
back.
studios, Atari. Just kidding.
No.
Kinda actually.
Well,
Atari
maybe.
does own Night Dive. Night
So-
Dive Studios, the minds behind all the cool remasters of old '90s and early 2000s games,
They have been
and
killing
also,
it.
yeah, they have, and also they released System Shock remake, which is an amazing game.
A full-on
Anyway.
remake.
Yeah, and I'm playing that right now. It's really cool. Anyway, they've announced a remaster of Dark Forces, the original Dark Forces from the early 90s or mid 90s, and Turok 3, the N64 game.
Oh, yeah, that means they've remastered all 3 of the mainline Turok games. Yeah. I love Turok.
I
Guys,
didn't. I
guys,
loved it.
I
I
love
loved it, but
Turok.
I loved it, but I couldn't play it
Now you can.
because it made me so ill. And
No,
I
see-
wanted to play it so bad.
It was
But
Now
every
you
because
time I
can
did,
with
yeah.
good frame rates.
yeah, because the frame rate was so poopy before.
What was the frame rate before? What'd you say?
Poopy. It
20?
was all the way poopy.
It
Was
was
it like
it was 20
sub
on
20,
a good
right?
day.
Yeah. Yeah. And I just remember being like, I want to play this, but
Yeah. But now you can play them at 60 or 120. So
hey, that's smooth. Smooth.
new controls, new assets, like
It looks really good too. I just watched the trailer. Looks
What it-
very good.
yeah, what the cool thing that Night Dive does, they're also one of my favorite studios in the last few years. What they do is, you remember playing a game on the N64, on the PC early days, and you have an idea in your head of what it looked like. And then you go back and play it now, and you're like,
Yep.
this looks like Duke.
Yeah.
This is
Nostalgia
just-
kills it.
This is
It lives
not
better.
good. So what Night Dive does is they remaster these games to the point where they look like
What
in
you
your
remember?
head, they look like what you remember. And so you thought, yeah, that game probably looks bad, but it was a lot of fun. You go back and look at it now and you're like, no, that looks pretty good with these
Yeah.
remastered graphics, you know?
For Dark Forces, they redid all the cutscenes with new art.
Nice.
Super cool. And yeah, they preserve like the things that are core to the game, but
Yes.
enhance everything else.
Yeah.
They just make it. They add in all the modern conveniences of gaming, like nice controls, high frame rates, and keep the
Texture
core game
filtering.
intact. It's
Stuff that
really
you
cool.
kind of expect for any game nowadays. You know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And one of the things that is just so cool about that, in my opinion, is these games, they would be, lost like tears in rain if you didn't have someone like Night Dive doing the Lord's work, just like iFixit in our last episode.
Yeah.
Actually, speaking of Blade Runner, that's their one stumble in the last like 5 years, is they released a remake of the Blade Runner adventure game, and it was not good.
It was not good. Ugh.
It was
I think I remember that game.
it was dookie, but they've been updating it. They've updated it since then, and apparently it's somewhat better. But other than that game, if you see it's remastered by Night Dive, it's good.
Yes, please.
Everything else I've seen them do has been high quality. So, yeah. All right, I guess that's the end of that one. Let's talk about good news, everyone. NVIDIA GeForce Now is getting access to all your Microsoft PC Game Pass games. Well, not all of them, but a good chunk of them. Did we talk about this last
I
week?
feel like
We
this
did.
didn't get dashed last week and it
Okay,
got moved
that's what
over.
happened.
So,
Yep.
because I'm like, wait a second, I've already been hyped about this. I feel like
Yeah.
I have already spent energy on this
Too
story.
much hype for Owen.
So
Yeah,
just a,
I'm
just
hype
a
twice.
reminder.
Just a reminder.
It's
You
there.
got go
It's
out there
happening.
and do those things.
All right, let's talk about a big swing and a miss here from Sony. The PlayStation Portable Nope. That was a good thing. The PlayStation Portal is the bad thing.
This is their streaming device that turns your PS5 into a Wii U. They took a PS5 controller, split it in half, put a screen between it, and they're charging you $200 for it. It's an 8-inch 1080p LCD screen, and all you can do is stream from your local PS5. You
You
cannot.
can't, not even across the internet.
No, you can across the
You
internet.
can
Oh,
across
okay.
the internet, but your mileage may vary depending on how far you go.
Right.
If you're within a
in
couple
Ohio.
hours of your house, you're probably going to be okay still. If you go further than that, it is not a good experience. And
What-
and your Wi-Fi still has to be great.
And what Jaron was specifying, meaning you can only stream from your PlayStation. You can't stream from the PlayStation Cloud.
Oh, really?
Correct.
So if
Nope.
you have cloud games, you can't
What's
even
the
play your.
point?
Exactly. This thing is DOA.
And
Wow.
the worst part of it is they've implemented
Actually-
their own wireless audio protocol.
Yeah, they don't even let you use
does
a
not have Bluetooth.
Doesn't use Bluetooth.
Not
Tell me
yet.
about it later,
Where's-
right, James?
Where's James? He's gonna be livid.
How dare they?
There's
No, I
dozens
can
of
tell you
him
what
that
the
will
use
be
case is
upset.
right here, guys. This is the use case. It's for the people who own a PlayStation but don't own two TVs, right? So
Yep.
their wife watches their show.
Yes.
They can play their game on the couch, just like you do with your Switch.
That's exactly what the Wii
That's
U's
the use case.
best thing was. as well.
Right. But your phone or your iPad or your computer can already remote play
That's the
through the
problem.
PlayStation Remote Play app.
Oh,
It's-
so I can just
they-
do it on my backbone.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
100%.
So why would I do that?
Sony teamed
I
up.
don't know.
Sony teamed up with Backbone last year, and they released a PlayStation branded
That's right, the
Backbone.
white one.
Uh huh.
I
So
They were like,
Remember?
and they were like, that was so easy, bud. Let's do our own.
But
So
make it
the-
worse.
The only difference here
make it less
is
convenient.
you do get the haptics on the PlayStation Portable or Portal,
cares?
I mean, and the screen is bigger than your phone.
Yeah, but it makes it less.
What about
less
can I do it on my
portable.
iPad?
Yeah, you can do it on your iPad.
100%.
So just my iPad if I want a bigger screen.
Yeah, exactly. And
Easy.
use your DualSense controller that you already have.
Right.
Yep. So I don't know what they were thinking when they like the only reason I can see that this came to pass and is going to be released is two things I could think of. One, it was like the CEO of Sony Interactive's son was like, "Dad, I want to do a project," and he's like, "Okay, son," and just rams it through. Or two, there was no oversight whatsoever on this project the entire time, and they
feel
brought
like-
it to
Or
the
both. It could be
It
both.
could be both.
You know, I feel like it
Don't
might have been
end
the
or
hype.
that. It could be both.
I
Fair.
think it feels like it might be like hype. Like, you know, the Steam Deck was probably real huge when they started development on this, and he was like, the Steam Deck is, the pre-orders are sold out, everybody's talking about it, it's hard to get, we got to have one of those. And
Make
they
something
started
quick.
it. Yeah, and they're like, put it out there, people are throwing stupid money at this kind of stuff right now, let's get them.
I will.
Get 'em.
I'll say
And-
that $200 is the ceiling for a product like this. If they would have
Yeah.
gone higher than 200, it
No
would
way.
100. It would absolutely be completely dead on arrival.
You
They'll
get some
sell-
play- you get
they'll
some
sell a
PlayStation
few of
fans,
these. Yep.
yeah.
They'll sell a few of these at $200
For exactly what Lando
It's-
was saying. Like,
yes.
you know, in home, like play on like not more than one TV. So
What
And
baffles me is the lack of Bluetooth. Like, it does have an audio jack, so there's that.
yeah,
But and if you want wireless audio, you have to buy brand new accessories. You can't even use your older PlayStation headset. You have to buy a brand new PlayStation headset.
it
Yeah,
has
they
an audio.
announced-
So it's got the 3.5 or whatever.
yeah, it's got
like
the
audio.
barrel plug.
So you could hook up some Bluetooth receiver there, right?
Oh, that's a good
but
point.
you'd still probably have input lag, like
Yeah,
delay,
it wouldn't
you know?
be as nice
the
of a
Bluetooth 5 or whatever.
Right.
Sounds like Owen's trying to solve problems again in really overly complex ways.
That's
simple.
Owen's favorite thing to do.
I know.
That's not overly
But
complex.
that's a simple one.
Yeah.
I'll give Owen credit on that one. They announced two other headsets as well. An update to the Sony Pulse series for 150, and for $200, they showed off finally their new in-ear, truly wireless headphones,
Oh,
earbuds, and those are $200. And they support Bluetooth or the dongle. Both of these you have to get a dongle and plug the dongle in
to the
get your-
portal.
to the portal.
I
Yeah.
love
No,
me a
the portal
good
has a
dongle.
built-in.
Oh, no,
You have to plug
that's
it
right.
into your PS5.
If you want to use it on your PS5, you have to plug a dongle in
Oh.
to use it
And
with your PS5.
don't these use the tech from Audeze?
Yes, they use planar magnetic. What do you call it?
Drivers?
Drivers. Thank you. Planar magnetic drivers. That same thing Audeze's been doing for a while. There's a couple companies out there that do the planar magnetic stuff. Hi-Fi Man, I think, is another one. Audeze's probably the most well-known planar magnetic headphone manufacturer, which brings us to the next story. Sony decided to buy Audeze for some reason.
I just like
and-
them so much.
Well, you think this would be a natural fit because Sony makes headphones already and earbuds. They have a storied history in making great audio products. What's weird about this, though, is Sony proper didn't buy it. Sony
Yeah.
Interactive, the company that does PlayStation under
Right.
Sony, they're the ones that bought Audeze. So they're not merging with the other Sony audio guys.
So almost like, well, they did say, though, that Audeze will continue to work under its own name and produce its own products. But does that mean they're going to have like exclusivity Audeze stuff for Sony PlayStation devices? That would be
Yeah, it's weird.
that would be weird because right now Audeze makes gaming. They do make several gaming headsets, but they're they for whatever platform you want. You can use them on PC, Xbox, PlayStation, etc. So if they were to make that PlayStation only, that would be kind of a bummer.
Yeah, can't decide if this is a good move or a bad move.
I
Like
also
it gives. I love Audeze products, and if this allows Audeze to persist as a going concern for many years to come, that's
Right.
great. But
I'd
Well,
love
and-
to see their stuff though get into Sony's other sound products. Like that'd be cool.
Yeah,
Their audio products.
Audeze also, I mean, they do everything from relatively inexpensive headphones up to super pricey, like several $1,000 headsets, over ear cans. So Sony, I don't think makes any super duper expensive high end headphones. Do they? Do you know of any?
I don't think so. They just make.
They make some studio monitors,
Yeah.
but those are, yeah, you're using some right now. You can get those for under $100 though, usually.
Yeah, if
or-
you find them on selling, for like $60.
Exactly. So, and then they have, I mean, the most expensive Sony headset that I know of is probably the WH-1000 XM5s, which is their over-the-ear noise-canceling Bluetooth ones. Those are $350.
They're great, but they're not pro tier by any means.
No. They're. I don't even think I call them prosumer. They're
Yeah.
consumer. So
Yeah, for sure.
it'll be interesting if they start to dabble in that territory when Audeze, or now that they have Audeze. All right, let's see. Yeah, let's talk about face scanning because that seems to be a growing concern with several different places.
So I want to go on record. I found the story last week, and I sent it to James, and he didn't use it. So let's do
Man,
it.
can you
So-
believe this guy?
I know. I'm pretty mad about it because it's a good
you
story.
guys-
Go ahead, Owen.
You guys know what the ESRB is? That rating system for games, right?
Yeah, it's BS. The
It's,
BSRB.
The BSRB.
The
Well,
BSRB.
what is it? Entertainment Software Rating Board.
Yep.
Well, they are seeking approval from the FTC to implement facial age technology to stop kids from skirting parental controls. So, basically, right now, if you want to get a Facebook account and you're supposed to be 14 or 16
13
or
or
whatever,
14, yeah.
What do you do?
You just lie about your age.
You just drop your
Exactly.
age, right? You're like, oh man, just drop this down to 1971. Perfect.
Yeah, I'm
Money.
actually 63.
Yep. And so they actually have. So this has failed epically before in the past from security regulators and privacy regulators
Privacy.
because they're like, what else are you going to use that for? And they're like, oh, identity too. And when you mix in identity and age, you start being able to have unintentional biases form within the software. And that was noted with a bunch of cases where the system erroneously identified some black people as anyway, it's an awkward story. I won't go there. But anyway, it was wrong. It was wrong. So this time, the ESRB is coming with Yoti, who is a youth digital media company, a digital identity firm, and Super Awesome, which is the youth digital media company. And they're coming to the FTC and they're saying, look, we're just doing it for age, nothing else. All it does, they take a selfie, it goes against the algorithm that basically determines age, and then we delete it. And if they don't meet the criteria, then a pop-up box comes up and says, please enter your parents' email address and we will email them an approval. And
Jaren is going to have to answer his own emails when he does his face and tries to play an M-rated game.
So true, because they set the threshold to 20. They set the threshold to 25, by the way, to skirt teenagers that might look like adults trying to pass off as parents.
Yeah.
And so there are all sorts of like, no, this is just for that. This is just to identify age. And they had some data. They said that, in the UK and the EU, they're like 35% of the requests are getting blocked because they're kids trying to access, things past the ESRB. But again, the rating system is kind of like the rating system here in the US for like movies, like
MPAA.
Yeah, like a PG-13 movie can have one F word, right? Like,
right.
So
sometimes two.
Sometimes,
it can have two if neither of them are used in a sexual way.
Right. So, like,
So stupid.
the ratings are subjective culturally sometimes, right? Like, you wouldn't get the same ratings over in Europe. Like, if you've gone over there and seen their like billboards and stuff.
What's the thing in Europe? Sexuality and nudity and stuff is much less taboo than it is in the U.S. But violence, they take violence a lot more seriously in Europe. Whereas in the U.S., violence is
all day
you
long.
don't care.
Right?
No, it doesn't
toots
matter
given.
about that. But you're going to show some areolas? Now, hang on now. That's
Now, hold on
rated
now.
R. That's
Wait, are they male or female ones?
Yeah, that's right. Is there hair on those areolas?
Because yeah. So that's their whole idea, is to try and use age
just
verification
kept all the jokes
algorithms.
inside, just so you know.
I just tried to, I'm just glad I got to work the word areola into the episode.
That's right. Twice now.
Mission accomplished.
3 times.
So yeah, they're trying their best here. I don't know if I can't decide as a parent or as an inconvenience or if it's just socially like.
So my understanding is they're not using this for kids buying games. They're only using it for like kids accepting EULAs in games.
For signing up. So
Right.
So if you already have the game,
but-
so if you wanna download or when you sign up for an account with the game, then that's when it would come up and
Yeah,
prompt you for an
this
age.
would work for physical media because that's supposed to be policed by the salesperson at
Yeah,
the store.
right.
Ask for your ID. Are you 17 or older? No, you can't
Right.
buy Grand Theft Auto 5. Sorry.
Or
Sorry,
how
12-year-old.
crappy would that be if you got the game and then you need to
Couldn't
make
do
an
the
EA
EULA.
account?
Yep.
Because like when you get like a game, a hardware, the actual physical copy, and you come and you play it, you still have to create an EA account
Right.
to play. And at that point, if you're faced with the EULA and it's like, yeah, let's scan your face and get you set up, and they're like, sorry, womp womp,
Bad.
can't play this game. So it's a very, very big deal in China. China really has their culture, a lot more lockdown on that. So, but yeah, they're trying to push that through. Interesting to see if that's the case. I mean, I thought, man, what would I do if I was a kid trying to get around this? Like the first thing I try and do is always like, how do I not do what they want me to do? And I would be like, hey mom, can you take a selfie on my phone? Like I want to set your picture as my background or something.
Oh, and you
like,
even look like you're getting points for loving
totally.
your mom.
Yep,
or
you're
your
like,
dad.
hey.
Oh, I love you so much. I want you to be on my phone.
Yeah, and then literally you're walking around and be like, dude, she just did it. I'm playing. We're doing this tonight. Like,
It's time to play some Call of Duty.
your dad wouldn't do it, Tommy. Ha ha. Like, they're all in the Discord
Loser.
server. Idiot.
Get wrecked.
Wait. Do you want my mom? Do you want my mom to do it for your phone? Just come over. She'll do
Yeah.
one for yours too.
Yeah.
Like she really wants attention. Like she really needs it.
Oh man, we're going down
Chill.
a dark path here.
I know, like you know, a lot of moms are like, I'll take any of my friends, like any of my kids or their friends. I had a second mom, so my second mom, which was my friend's mom, was like desperate for just, you know,
Was that
son's love. Like I heard it. Anyway,
all right?
anyway, you know,
It's
what
taking a
I'm
weird turn there, Owen. Great
It's
job.
it's a wholesome turn. If you took it bad, then you're
It's not
probably
as
from
bad
the
as the areola
2000s.
turn, Tony.
Yeah, anyway,
That's 100. That's just one big turn because it's round.
it's a circle.
It's a circle.
Life is
I
a
see
circle.
what you did.
Yeah. All right. I think we're gonna do a couple more stories real quick. First thing is this is a little bit of rumor control. It's looking more and more like it is actually going to come to reality, though. The Lenovo Legion Go, which was looking pretty cool, is looking less cool now, mostly because it uses a QHD plus screen, which is just a
Yeah.
bonehead move on Lenovo's.
2560 by 1600.
Yeah, that resolution is way too high for the GPU that's going to be in this because it's the same CPU GPU that's in the ROG Ally, and that's a 1080p screen, and there are games that it struggles to get to 60 frames per second.
I was hoping the Ally would be 720p.
Yeah, 720 or 800p. I think 800p would have been just the sweet spot for the Ally. I'm not mad that it's 1080 because it's also got variable refresh rate and 120 hertz.
Yeah.
You know, it makes up for that, and a 500 nit brightness. So this one will have all of those things as well. 500 nit brightness, 144 hertz, actually a little bit higher on the.
But you're never going to run that at
No, that's the thing.
1600p. The thing is, though, you could do 800p and upscale because it'd be a perfect match for
Is
the
that half
1600p
on each
resolution.
axis?
Yeah,
Yep.
it is.
Yeah, it is. Okay, so that
But
might
the
look all
problem
right.
is it's a 9-inch screen and
Too big.
800p on a 9-inch screen, you would see blurriness on
Yep.
that. So the screen is too big and too high res.
Yep.
If they would have done 1080p on a 9-inch screen, perfect. It would have
Mm-hmm.
been perfect.
So yeah, that's a bummer. It looks like it at least at this point it's only going to have one option for RAM, 16 gigs, just like the ROG Ally. It's going to offer a 256, 512, or 1 terabyte option for your storage. It's got those detachable controllers, which look kind of cool in theory, but in reality, would you ever detach them anyway? I don't think so.
Battery is 25% bigger than the ROG Ally, but the screen is also bigger and much
Yeah.
higher res. So I'm not sure how much that would get you.
I think
How
it'll
much
end up-
more?
I think it'll end up probably being the same battery life.
Yeah, probably. And
or
it's
roughly.
a lot heavier,
Yep.
heavier than both the Steam Deck and the ROG Ally.
So there you go. Those are also rumored specs, but they are coming from really reliable sources. So we don't usually talk about rumors too much, except for this episode for some reason. But that's looking more and more likely, and I am less and less excited for it as a result. But there you go. Okay, a couple of reviews in progress. I'm going to do a review in progress for Baldur's Gate 3, and then Jaren has one for Immortals of Aveum. Now, how many hours of Immortals of Aveum have you played, Jaren?
4, which is like a quarter of the game from what I'm
it's
reading.
not a huge game. It's like a 10-hour campaign, roughly, 10, 15 hours. You can go ahead and go first if you want.
All right. Not the final review because I'd like to play through the whole game first, but I'd like to call it out here because they made the very unfortunate decision of releasing it between two of the biggest games ever, Baldur's Gate 3 and Starfield. I'm not sure what marketing guys decided this, but it was a horrible choice.
I've
This
been
is
learning a lot
E-
about marketing guys
This
lately.
is EA, right? This is the
the
EA's
EA
publishing it.
EA's publishing it, but it's
Okay.
Ascendant Studios, which is a
Right.
brand new studio not owned by EA.
This is the problem that EA did for Titanfall 2 as well. It sandwiched it in between a Battlefield game and a Call of Duty game that
And
year.
everybody's just like, Titanfall, what? Who?
2 weeks after one and 2 weeks before the other,
Ugh.
and totally screwed Titanfall 2 over sales-wise as a
Which
result.
was a great game.
What
Super
is EA's
great
problem? The thing about Immortals of Aveum, it's kind of Metroidvania in the level design.
Mm-hmm.
It's a first-person shooter with RPG elements. So you can upgrade your gear, you can upgrade your character.
Speaking my language.
Metroidvania like level. It's a fantasy game, but it's kind of techno fantasy the way the design is. But overall, it's at very first it's very linear, extremely long training tutorial. Yeah. But once you get through all of that, it opens up quite a bit, and it turns out to be a pretty fun game. The combat is, I think the combat's super fun. It's kind of a mix between like Doom Eternal, mix of like up close stuff and far away stuff. A lot of arena style combat encounters.
Mm-hmm.
So like gates come up, you fight guys, gates go down, that kind of thing. But so far, like I think it's a high quality game. For me, it's speaking my language because it's using brand new game tech, Unreal Engine 5.
Oh baby.
It's fantasy. It's a first person shooter. It perfectly fits in my Venn diagram of what Jaren likes. So if that's right up your alley and you have the hardware to push it, I totally recommend getting this game so far. I was
gonna say it's a very heavy game.
Very heavy.
Digital Foundry today released a video on how it performs on the PC, and it's beautiful. It's a beautiful game, but as a result of using all that new tech, it does require a pretty beefy graphics card and CPU to run good.
If you have last gen GPUs or current gen, you're good to go. 30 series of NVIDIA or up, or AMD 6000 series GPUs or up, and you'll be fine. It has FSR2 and DLSS, so you can use upscaling on either one of them. And the graphics are really interesting. Like, it's really honestly not pushing graphics too hard, except for Nanite, which is the tech that's used to draw geometry very far out. Normally what developers would do, they would make a couple of different versions of like a house. A version of a house that you would see from 1,000 feet away, which is like basically 4 polygons. A version of a house that you'd see a little bit closer, and a version of a house that you'd see really up close.
Yeah,
and so
they would
LOD,
scale it.
level of detail.
Yeah, so they would use LODs to reduce the amount of polygons they have to draw on a screen. Nanite, you use the up close asset for everything, and Nanite will automatically do all that for you. So there is no popping in of assets. Like when you
scales it in real time.
Wow.
Yeah, it scales it perfectly. So like
It's
sometimes
wild.
in a game where you get close to something and suddenly it just like changes shape suddenly.
Halo did that a lot. Like,
Yeah.
where the pop in comes, so you'd get through an area and all of a sudden trees are just fading in or whatever.
Yep.
Yeah. So this gets rid of that completely where they actually use it. They're not using Nanite for vegetation, so there's still things that pop in, unfortunately. That's going to be coming in future games, Nanite vegetation. But where it does use Nanite, it's crazy looking. Like, you realize when you're seeing it, like, wow, I've never seen things that detailed that far away.
Yeah.
It's really cool. Really cool tech. Character models are exquisite, extremely detailed.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So if you're interested in graphics, definitely check this game out. If what I said appeals to you, I think it's worth $60 to pick up. If not, if some of these things appeal to you, wait for it to go on sale. From what I've played so far, it's a high quality game.
If it weren't for the fact that there's so many other games I want to play right now, I would probably have bought this game already. But
yeah, that's the problem. It came out between Baldur's Gate 3 and
let me tell you,
Starfield.
Tony fell to the one of the
Man.
majors.
Baldur's
how
Gate
good is it?
3.
Oh yeah, and
man.
the new From Software game released the same day.
Yeah,
Armored Core 6.
Core 6.
They can't compete with that.
Yeah, especially being a new studio with a new IP. Like they're going up against all the heavy hitters. You got new Call of Duty coming out in a month, Anyway, Baldur's Gate 3. Okay.
Tell me about this one, Tony.
I don't even know where to start with this game. Developed by Larian, same people that did a bunch of other games that are similar to Baldur's Gate games, RPGs, action RPGs, isometric view. The last one they did before was Divinity Original Sin 2. They also did Divinity Original Sin 1, and I think another Divinity game before that. That's their own IP. But they it's amazing. This game, I haven't felt a game grab me by the brain this hard since probably The Witcher 3. I think about this game while I'm at work.
Wow.
I'll be working, and all of a sudden I'll just stop and be like, "Oh man, I need to
Losing
go check."
time.
Yeah.
Losing time to Baldur's Gate.
Yeah,
Daydreaming.
I need to remember that I should go check on this side quest when I get home on Baldur's Gate, because I got to see what loot's at the end of this.
When I was in the throes of Elden Ring, I could not work in my office, in my basement, in my house, because the temptation was too great to start playing Elden Ring.
That's how this game is. If you are into fantasy games, if you're into RPG games, that was our role-playing games. If you're into RPGs, man, this is right up your alley. If you're into D&D, so people that aren't really familiar with D&D, I being one of them, I didn't know Baldur's Gate was a D&D property.
I didn't know until I saw the movie.
Yeah, exactly.
They said Baldur's Gate, like, hey, I've
Yep.
heard that before.
And so it follows all the D&D, lore and stuff like that. And you can create your own character. You can use the pre-made characters. I went with a pre-made character. I'm about 25 hours into this game, and I haven't finished Act 1 yet. It is massive, and there's so much to do. And all of it is just so well done. This is a first impressions review, or a review in progress, and I don't think my score is going to change by the time I get to the end of the game, because as it stands right now, I would give this probably a 9.8 out of 10. Wow. It is as close to perfect as you can get.
Why 0.2 down?
There are a few technical issues with the game right now, and that is probably just to be expected with how big of a game this is versus how large the studio Larian is. Larian's a medium-sized studio. The fact that they're able to create a game this big, I probably should just give it a 10 out of 10.
You should.
But I've been picky about stuff like this in the past, and
You gotta be consistent, Tony.
I got to be consistent. So I'm knocking off 0.2 for a couple of bugs in the UI that I've noticed. And then one thing that really does bug me, and this is your mileage may vary, this could be a Tony problem, but the mini-map in the upper right-hand corner updates at like half the refresh rate as the game itself. So
what would be annoying?
yeah, as you turn your character out of the corner of my eye, I see it going tick, 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 as it turns as well, whereas everything else is nice and smooth.
Immortals of Aveum also has a similar problem. They have like these giant magic ribbons flowing through the land. Those those update at 30 frames per second. Everything else is on my computer 120.
It's distracting when you notice that stuff,
Yeah.
and you can't not notice it after you've started to notice it. So for those minor reasons, and then there is a little bit of weirdness going on with the voiceovers. You can tell that they have recorded lines from one conversation at different times, because the microphone sounds different from one sentence to the next. The quality of the voiceover audio, not the acting, but like the actual technical audio aspect of it, changes sometimes in the same conversation. You're like, oh, they had
So
to
like
go
it's
back
at
and
a lower bit rate or something?
maybe lower bit rate, or the room that they recorded in just wasn't as acoustically sound, something like that.
Like recording during the pandemic in their own houses or something?
Could be, yeah.
could be.
And it very well could
All
be,
the sound
because
assets.
this game has been in early access for like 3 years. So it's finally, the release that we got was their 1.0 release, basically. And the reason I'm only taking off 0.2 for these technical issues, there's other ones too that I just haven't mentioned. Nothing game breaking by any stretch. It still runs great. There are some issues in Act 3 I was reading, because there becomes areas of, you get to Baldur's Gate, and there's lots of NPCs, and they didn't optimize the CPU usage very good as far as that stuff goes, so it starts to bog it down. But they've already committed to solving that issue, and they put out one patch already in the first week that it's been out, or second week that it's been out, addressed over 1,000 different issues and bugs.
Only 1,000. Wow.
Only 1,000, and they said patch 2 is right around the corner, so it'll probably be less than a week, maybe 2 weeks tops for patch number 2. And they said there are performance enhancements coming in patch 2. Anyway, long story short, Baldur's Gate 2 is friggin' amazing. If you like RPGs, if you like ARPGs, now it is turn-based, so keep that in mind. If you don't like turn-based games, well, I still say you should give it a shot because it is awesome. But if you like turn-based or you don't mind turn-based, then you have no reason not to pick this game up. It is absolutely phenomenal. Oh, the other thing that I would dock it for, part of that point too, is inventory management's kind of poopy in this game, and there's a lot of inventory to manage.
You got this on Steam? Is that where you got it from?
Yeah, I got it on Steam. Yep.
The one thing I loved about Elden Ring was the inventory management. I didn't have
good?
to worry.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't really have to worry about carrying too much stuff ever. It was awesome.
Like
So
Zelda.
this comes out on no inventory management in Zelda is the
I
worst
never
I've
have
ever
to worry
seen.
about carrying too much stuff. I just pick everything up and I carry it all around with me.
Okay, that aspect of it's nice, but
Management, I just use it. It's great.
it's out on PC, comes out on PS5, I think next week or the week after, really soon. It's dropping on PS5, and then at a later date it'll be on Xbox, which is good to know that it actually is coming out on Xbox soon, because there was a big problem with Microsoft not wanting to release it on Xbox because it didn't have feature parity between the Series X and the Series S. The Series S isn't powerful enough to allow for couch co-op in this game. And this game is, I'm a single player nut, and I love single player games, but this game has the best of both worlds. You can play the whole game in co-op too, with up to 4 of your friends. However, if you wanted to do couch co-op, it only works on the Series X, but Microsoft saw how well the game's been doing and how great it is, and they granted an exception for Larian to release it on Xbox and not have couch co-op on the Series S. There you go.
One more technical thing about Immortals that I failed to mention. It actually runs well on PC, so don't let bad PC ports be a concern. It does pretty well, much better than consoles actually. And if you play on a console, PS5 and Xbox Series X, it actually seems okay, generally. Series S image quality isn't that great.
It's because they have to go all the way down to 436p on the resolution for Series S to run it. So, yep. All right, there you go. I think we're all done, except for big shout out to our awesome Patreon backers. Thank you so much. Patreon.com/GadgetSpot for the time being. At some point in the nearest future, we'll probably be rolling that all up into the Geek Show Patreon. And that's going to get probably an overhaul too, because we need to start adding more stuff to it. So there you go. If you donated $6 a month or more, then you get a shout out on the air, which Jaren has for us right now.
Thanks to David Broshitsky, Connor Keesaw, and Wiffleball Tony. Thank you, guys. They are the best ones. Best of the best. Always reboot after registry changes. Andy Bird, Be the 8-Year-Old, Travis Johnson, get geeky stickers for your computer or laptop, or have me design something for you at Pyman Graphics on Etsy. Jeremy, No Name, No Color, Keslow, Eric Steinman, Eric Cruz, Nathan Motzkus, Matt Nelson. Y'all should check out Hendrix Craftsman on Insta and TikTok. Me, Speechless Like a Japanese Video Game, ... Josh Dorius, Dick Messerly, Splinter, Adam, Aaron Faulkner, Stuart Lloyd, Joe, if you have to blow your horn, chances are the song is not worth hearing. Ryan M. and Adam Hecht. Thank you, everyone.
All right. Thank you so much. That's it. Thanks for downloading us this week. We hope you hear from us next week. Download us. Spread the word,
Do it.
That's it. Owen, take us out.
Hey, we hope you care.